Something about money doesn't add up anymore, and most people feel it long before they can explain it. You're earning more than you did a few years ago. Your income hasn't collapsed. Your life looks stable on paper, and yet everyday decisions feel heavier than they should. Groceries require calculation. Rent feels draining instead of routine. Even basic comfort feels harder to maintain. Most people try to explain this discomfort in simple ways. They blame inflation. They blame corporations. They blame poor financial habits. Or quietly, they blame themselves. They assume they missed a rule, a trick, or a level of discipline that everyone else figured out. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if the issue isn't personal failure, and it isn't prices rising in isolation? What if the real shift happened deeper in how money itself behaves? For most of modern history, money carried a silent promise. If you worked consistently, delayed gratification, and saved responsibly, your future would become more secure. This wasn't motivational advice. It was structural reality. The system rewarded patience. Saving wasn't exciting, but it worked. Stability arrived slowly, but it arrived. That belief shaped entire generations. Work first. Spend carefully. Save what remains. Over time, life became more predictable. Not easier, but understandable. You could plan. You could project forward. You could trust that effort today would still matter tomorrow. Today, that same behavior feels strangely ineffective. Sometimes it even feels punished. You can make responsible choices, avoid excess, and still feel like you're losing ground. That doesn't happen because people suddenly forgot how money works. It happens when the rules underneath the system change, while the advice stays the same. Most conversations focus on prices rising, but prices are not the core issue. They're the surface signal. The real shift happened quietly, over decades, in how money is created, expanded, and sustained. Money is not value. It's a claim on value. And over time, the number of claims grew much faster than the real things those claims point to. Housing didn't double because homes became twice as useful. Food didn't rise because effort disappeared. Energy didn't spike because society suddenly became less efficient. What changed was the relationship between money and scarcity. More money entered the system without a matching increase in real tangible output. At first, this expansion feels positive. Increased liquidity creates activity. Credit grows, spending rises, markets climb, asset prices inflate, balance sheets look healthier. People feel wealthier without necessarily producing more. From the outside, the system looks successful, even prosperous. But the cost doesn't arrive as a dramatic collapse. It arrives quietly, as erosion. When money becomes easier to create than value, it loses its ability to sit still. Saving no longer preserves purchasing power. It slowly leaks it. Not enough to cause panic, but enough to change outcomes over time. Month to month, nothing feels broken. Year to year, expectations start falling behind reality. You notice that what once felt affordable now feels optional. What once felt normal now feels like a stretch. The future doesn't disappear, but it becomes narrower. This is why everything feels more expensive even when incomes rise. Your money still functions, but it functions less effectively. It buys less certainty, less flexibility, and less time. The numbers grow, but the meaning behind them shrinks. And this shift doesn't affect everyone equally. The system doesn't reward effort the way it used to. It rewards position. People who own assets experience protection almost automatically. Their wealth adjusts as prices rise. Their balance sheets move with the system. People who rely primarily on wages experience compression. Wages react last. By the time income adjusts, prices have already recalibrated. This creates a quiet psychological tension. People feel pressure without understanding the cause. They feel behind without knowing what changed. And because the shift is gradual, it's easy to internalize it as personal failure rather than structural drift. But this isn't chaos. It's not incompetence. It's not accidental. It's a system slowly optimizing for movement instead of stability. Money now prefers circulation over storage. If it pauses, it decays. And people who built their lives around the old rules feel the friction before they see the pattern. Understanding this doesn't make you wealthy. It doesn't fix prices overnight, but it does something more important. It restores context. It separates personal discipline from systemic change. It explains why doing everything right can still feel insufficient. That quiet discomfort you feel isn't confusion. It's perception catching up to reality. And once you see the shift clearly, the pressure stops feeling mysterious. It becomes something you can recognize instead of something you blame yourself for.